Hi, everyone. Hopefully you're seeing me okay here. I'm Jordan from iBeacon Trends and No Teakins. Yeah, excited to talk to you guys today about how beacons, how these cool little Bluetooth devices can be used by banks and by mobile payment systems. So hopefully, like I said, you can hear me okay. You should be able to see a chat bar too. So if you're having any trouble, just shoot a message either in Google Hangouts or on the YouTube page. We're checking both. And yeah, there will be some time for FAQs at the end. If there's a question that's really relevant to what I'm talking about, I'll get to it. If not, then yeah, no worries. We'll have plenty of time at the end. Okay, so let's dive in. Let me pull up the slideshow here. Here we go. Beacons for banks and payments. Yeah, so if you've been on any of our webinars before, you know we like to focus on different sectors. Beacons are very flexible technology, can be used in a lot of different ways by a lot of different verticals, and banking is actually one of the biggest ones. And we decided to also have a segment here on payments too, because outside of banks, you know, cafes, restaurants, movie theaters, wherever people are paying, they can use beacons as well. It's not quite as easy as you know, just put a beacon there and people can pay with it. But I'll dig into the details a little bit. So this webinar is focused on different ways banks can and have used beacons, and then how pretty much anybody can use beacons in a mobile payment system. Next slide. Yeah, so I'll dive into some case studies with banking, and then I'll go a little more in depth with how to use beacons, and in particular Bluetooth Low Energy, which doesn't necessarily mean beacons. But it's the technology that beacons use. So I'll kind of give a good explanation of how they can be used, and then I'll dive into some case studies there. We can conclude with some best practices, and we'll have an FAQ at the end as well. Okay, so vamos. Beacon briefing. Yeah, I have a couple beacons here with me. Here I can put on the. I think you're not seeing me. So I have a couple of beacons here, a lot of different manufacturers out there, some not so great ones, and some really good ones too. So you'd have to be a little bit careful. And yeah, if you do want a more in-depth explanation, we used to give kind of beacon overview webinars, but we don't do them as much anymore. But we do free consultations. So I think that's a great way to get up to speed with the tech in full and kind of go through any type of project you might have in mind. But just so we're kind of on the same page, quickly, let me put the slideshow up again. They're really small devices that you can put anywhere. As I said in the beginning, really flexible, used in a lot of different ways. Basically what they do is they emit an identifying signal with this Bluetooth Low Energy technology that's pretty new. It actually was updated by Bluetooth last year, in I think the middle of the year. But this can be picked up by other devices. Most use cases are by smartphones, and it can trigger content. So you'll hear about them at airports, you know, for indoor mapping, helping people get around because GPS doesn't work indoors, or for marketing, you know, if someone's near an item that's on sale, you can put a beacon on that item, and then it can trigger a message on that phone. As I said, it sends out a signal, so it does not send out an actual message. And this signal in general it's called a UID and a major and a minor. And the app needs the intelligence to know what to do with that signal. No Teakins, the product that I work with, it's an SDK, a software development kit, that gives apps that intelligence to know what to do with that signal. But yeah, all they do is emit this really small signal, and then you need some type of intelligence to know what to do with that signal, but that signal is sent pretty much all the time. And yeah, it's really low power, so you can put them anywhere for years, and they just last maybe 8 or 9 years, and some of the newer ones can go 200 meters. But yeah, really cool technology. You can cover a building pretty easily with them, and they're even actually more accurate than GPS by a little bit. But yeah, used especially indoors, indoor mapping, sending relevant messages. But there's a lot of other use cases too, including mobile payments. So hopefully that's a good overview of the technology in general. I wanted to share a couple of case studies about how banks use them before diving into mobile payments outside of banks, and banks can use them for payments too. But I first wanted to talk about a couple of banking case studies that we've been involved with. I think it's more powerful to speak from your own experience. So we're based in Barcelona. We've also have an office in Paris as well. A lot of different geolocation projects. There's been a couple smaller projects we've been involved with. A project with the bank in Chile that wanted to target different profiles. We've been kind of doing some consulting with BBVA in Spain as well. Working with beacons, mostly sending contextual messages. There's also been a bank in France. It's kind of an institutional bank. It's a bank for institutions called Natixis that we're working with on building a platform to engage students. And probably the main project that we've done with banks, I'll dive more in depth with, is with La Caixa. So it's here in Catalonia, huge bank. They are everywhere. But we were working with them to put together a POC that was for VIP clients, basically. They linked it to a CRM, the Beacon system, and when someone walked into their branch, if they had registered and they gave them the proper permissions, then their app would know which profile they were, and they would send them relevant content. So if they were a young person, maybe they'd send hey, we have a special offer for students. Maybe someone middle-aged, maybe they'd offer them a loan. Maybe someone older, they'd offer more kind of saving account investment. But yeah, they broke it into 3 different profiles: younger, middle-aged, older, and they sent out relevant content to them. What they were also trying to do, though, and this stage wasn't finalized, was identify which of those people were VIPs. And as soon as they entered, a salesperson or someone who like an account executive would know that they were there and would be able to attend to them directly, and they wouldn't have to wait in line. So that's a pretty cool use case. I think can be used outside of banks too. In the retail sector, maybe even the restaurant sector. But linking up beacons with a CRM system and your app can be a great way to let your employees know that someone important's arrived. So not just send information to potential customers, potential clients, but also know a little bit in real time who's in your bank or who's at your store. So yeah, those are the different kind of range of projects we've been involved in with banks. There's a lot of other projects out there. One of them is with, what bank is this? Actually, I forget the Citibank. Sorry, it's right here. But yeah, this one, they've been working on some type of POC so that customers can open doors directly as soon as they have Bluetooth on. They've given the permissions. They've got the app. Instead of having to swipe their card after hours, the app knows who they are, the door knows who they are, and they can just walk on in. So that's a pretty cool use case. Some hotels have used something similar as well. So that's beyond just sending marketing messages. And then another cool area that actually I think it's a really powerful area is for helping the make banks more accessible. Like I said, beacons are more accurate than GPS, so even outdoors, The increased accuracy is particularly helpful for making spaces more accessible. And yeah, indoor spaces, I would say almost essential. I mean, there's some audio tech that others are using too that I've seen. But beacons, yeah, this is a great use case for them. And any beacons you have sending marketing messages or identifying VIP clients, you can use for making it more accessible too. And basically kind of wherever you are, it'll help you it'll send you like audio information to know like what's in front of you, where you need to go, and just kind of explains where you are currently, and yeah, kind of helps with wayfinding. So this was being used by Barclays. If I'm remembering correctly, it was maybe 10 different banks that they had it going in. I don't know if they've expanded recently, but they launched it maybe a year and a half ago, and did do some more expansions maybe 6 months later. So I think it's going well. And like I said, if you want to use beacons in other ways, why not also use them to make banks more accessible? And again, that can be used in a lot of different sectors. So yeah, those are the main case studies I had for banks. Just to recap: identifying VIP clients, just kind of identifying anyone who's in your bank, like Kaisho is doing, sending out marketing messages, making banks more accessible, and you can even let people into your banks after hours, just with Bluetooth. So BLE payments. Like I said, they can be used by banks. Oftentimes, you're not really paying for too much in banks, so maybe it's not the best place to use them. But yeah, it is definitely one sector that can be useful for. And outside of banks, you can use them for transportation systems, for cafes, for restaurants, for what have you. Anywhere that you pay, you can use beacons. But it's not magic. As I said, the beacons just send out an identifying signal. So you need intelligence to know what to do with that signal. So most people are familiar with using near frequency communication, NFC, chips for payments. That's basically you put your card or you put your phone right up to like within 15 centimeters of a device, and it can pay automatically. It's how I pay mostly here. So the benefit of using beacons over NFC is that you can be, 100 meters away, and pay. So it adds a little extra level of convenience, but it also makes it a bit more difficult to identify. So just like with NFC, you do need to be linked up to a mobile payment system. So this mobile payment system needs to interpret the signal that the NFC or Bluetooth is sending. But beyond just no, because with NFC you're right there, so it's that person wants to pay. But with beacons, it's a little bit more complex. You have to more properly identify who wants to pay and who doesn't. So yeah, I know that's not incredibly clear, but hopefully with this first case study, you'll be able to see it a little bit better. So Jiffy, I met them at a conference maybe 3 or 4 months ago. They're based in Lithuania, and it works. They're Estonia. And they're involved in a number of different transportation systems, I think buses and metros mostly, but they're trying to do different things with taxis too. And basically, when someone gets onto a transportation system, they've got a beacon there that sends a signal, and then they've got a payment system inside their mobile application. And the mobile app will know it's them and will pay automatically. So you don't need to mess around with Metro cards or anything like that. It just works. So yeah, it's a really exciting project. I've also seen it, I think, in Chiltern Railways in London also has a project similar to this too. So it's something that's becoming more and more popular with transportation systems. And the way it works more from the technical side, and maybe this is a bit freaky for some people here, but just to kind of give an overview. They've got it's called BIBO, be in, be out workflow. So the passengers don't need to do anything, not even confirm that they're on the system. It just runs in the background. So as soon as passengers opt in to this kind of check-in, check-out system, the beacon will trigger the payment automatically. So as I said, it's difficult to know who exactly is willing to pay, because the beacon signals can travel 50 meters, 100 meters, 200 meters. So they might mistakenly check in a passenger who's not actually traveling. So this was a real problem for them, but they've been able to use proximity triangulation algorithms and statistical data analysis to really confidently measure where a person is. And you can use multiple beacons for this too. So you create some type of triangulation system and have a better idea of where people are moving, so you can see kind of dwell times as well. And using the enter and exit of smaller beacon zones, plus other beacons, plus the dwell times, you can create an algorithm to really accurately know who's there. So that does sound kind of complex, but when it is set up properly, it does work, and it's just super easy, super smooth for users. But yeah, it's again not easy to do from a technical side, and yeah, your users, you really want to have to provide a seamless experience for users to push through with this. But it's exciting. It's cool. You don't have to physically take your phone and put it up to something. It just does it behind the scenes automatically. So hopefully that gives a good overview of the technical side of it. Not just transportation systems are using beacon payments, but yeah. And sorry, to clarify, beacon payments does not necessarily mean BLE payments, Bluetooth Low Energy payments. Beacons are just small devices, but there's larger devices that use BLE too. In Denmark, I don't know, it was maybe the beginning of this year, end of last year, a couple thousand payment systems started using BLE for payments. So instead of having to tap your card right up to the screen, it knows that you're there. All you have to do is confirm on the screen, and it'll know that you want to pay. So this is rolled out all over Denmark. It's a pretty simple use case. The big thing here is that it's huge. In order for people to start taking BLE, taking beacon seriously for payments, it has to be rolled out in large capacities, like it was done with NFC. So now that it's possible to identify accurately who wants to pay, it just needs to take hold. And in Denmark, it already is. And yeah, these point of sale systems are all over the place at stores, restaurants, bars, what have you, all over Denmark. Denmark's really on top of their game. And in a lot of different vending machine systems, I saw a case study in I think Japan as well. But vending machines are becoming really popular mechanisms to pay with Bluetooth as well. With this, they do have to wave their mobile device, and with that, they'll notice it's kind of like NFC. It just doesn't have to be quite as close. But yeah, vending machines are a great way. If you do have vending machines, this will probably be a major option in the near future to pay with Bluetooth. Just yeah, to close out the mobile payment section, there's a lot of other case studies too. Not as big as the case study in Denmark, but there's a restaurant app called Woolsey in India that has a payment gateway. They do a lot of other things like send out the menus, let people order with beacons. But yeah, basically the whole process of sitting in a restaurant, ordering, reordering, and then payments can be done all with beacons. So that's a really cool project in India. something similar popped up in Cyprus as well. So I think we'll start seeing more and more restaurant apps launch with beacons, and have a payment gateway too. There's been a number of cafes doing a similar thing. Starbucks launched a trial. They didn't really expand it, but this was maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. Starbucks had a big trial where you could pay with beacons, but they didn't go full in with it, at least not yet. There's a bar app too called Sharefish that was doing this. And then you've probably heard of Android Pay and Amazon Go. Android Pay, you pay without even taking out your credit card or your phone. You can just have it in your pocket, and your phone will know what that you want to pay. Like the cashier has to check you out, but that uses Bluetooth as well as some other location services. And same with Amazon Go. That's the store, I think in San Francisco as well. You just pick up whatever items you want and you walk out of the store. It again uses a lot of other types of location services, but Bluetooth is one of the ways it identifies you. So yeah, a broad range of options for, just to conclude here before getting into questions, a broad range of options for using beacons in banks and beyond. And in particular, for payments. I think they'll become more and more common. I mean, we'll see Denmark is a little bit more advanced than most places as far as technology. So maybe it'll just get popular there and maybe fizzle out for other countries. But it's a huge project. And we're seeing case studies in different sectors as well with payments. So I think it's definitely worth looking into, especially if you're more on the cutting edge. Maybe if you've got other projects going on currently, and you don't care so much about providing seamless payment options. It's not the return on investment maybe isn't as high at the moment. Beacons for payments isn't quite as built out yet. So maybe you want to wait a little bit for some other major case studies before you launch it. But still definitely worth keeping in mind. And beyond payments, they, of course, as I'm sure you all know, can be used for sending marketing messages. Please do not use them for sending spam messages. Take into account that this is a pretty intimate way to communicate with someone right there in the moment, and with a push notification. So don't abuse it. It's been abused in the past, and it hurts the industry. So make sure you're always sending value and you're really using them to their fullest potential in the right place at the right time if you're using them for marketing. Keep in mind that if you are using them for marketing, you can also use them for analytics, including knowing who your VIPs are, where they are. You can also call up other type of demographic info, like how many, beyond knowing the statistics for your app users, you can know how many male and female are using your app. But with beacons, you can know how many male and female are using your app and are in your store. So you can know your more valuable app users demographics too with beacons. And yeah, of course, they can be used to help make locations more accessible. And I'd love to see more locations using this technology for that, because yeah, they're there. And there's a lot of providers. I think a couple nonprofits that are working in this sector too. Like I said, we do have free consultations as well as free demos for our software. And if you are thinking about using beacons for marketing, for making your bank, your store, what have you, more accessible for payments, we're more than happy to help talk it through with you and recommend the best next steps. Maybe there's other providers that are better for you. Yeah, we just like hearing about new ideas, new projects, and these free consultations and free demos are in part to sell our software. But another large part is just to get feedback about what people are interested in and where things are moving. We would love to see Teakins and iBeacon Trends, which it already is, as kind of a central point for the Beacon community, where people can share ideas and just find the best ways to launch their beacon, geofencing, proximity projects. So yeah, definitely get in touch if you've got any ideas. Would love to talk more. Hopefully you've gotten some good things from this webinar. Hopefully you've got some good ideas. And yeah, you're ready to take another step with beacons and with other proximity tools. So that's all for the presentation. I will stay online to chat if anyone has any questions. And you can email me, jordan@noteakins.com as well. I will send a follow-up email with this link, with the slide share, and yeah, if you want to stay on our list, we do webinars roughly every month, and you can learn about how beacons are used in other sectors as well. So thank you, muchas gracias, merci beaucoup. Until next time.